No.
A land of ancient civilization, Egypt holds in it the most bizarre, terrifying, and peculiar creatures. Some are remains of the dead, others still out there trying to scare humans with their frightening features. Sit tight to see these mind-boggling things caught on camera. Tied mummy. An ancient criminal? Or proof of classic cruelty from our ancestors' time? Well, in truth, it's none of these. Found in a 1.8 meter deep pit, the body of a man believed to be in his mid-age was strangely tied and was buried 1,800 years ago in this burial chamber. But with his hand covering the face and whole body being tied with ropes, the mummy is not a victim, but actually it was a part of their custom that was practiced around hundreds of years ago. Yes, researchers believe that the whole binding process may have been some kind of ritual, practiced to preserve the bodies forever. Croc mummies. Either dead or alive, crocs will always scare humans to their cores. While digging the ancient tombs, the research workers found 12 crocs buried in the soil. Looking alive from afar, it felt like they might open their jaws at any moment, because their textured skin still looked fresh and the teeth were still intact within the jaws. The researchers were stunned when they got to know that the crocodiles had been buried 2,500 years prior, because how could something this old be in almost its original condition? Well, actually, they were preserved with a particular method which excluded wrappings and resin, which helped them keep their original condition. Abandoned alien. Strolling in the desert is an alien creature. Though it has a humanoid body with its extremely long limbs, thin skin, and the way it is walking with a stooped posture, it sure gives some eerie vibes to the onlookers. Because of the blurry video, some say that it is a chupacabra walking in the deserts and planning an attack on the livestock. A majority of the people believe that because it is found in a deserted area, it could be a mummy that decided to come alive after spending centuries in the coffin. Because how else could anyone explain the slim body of the weirdo walking in the middle of the day? Deserted whales. While we believe that fish and deserts are two parallel things, researchers in Egypt found whale carcasses right in the desert lands, and not just one or two. The desert was filled with bones, skulls, and huge carcasses of whales. In fact, these bones were so abundant in the land that it was given the name of Whale Valley. While folks were baffled, how could it be possible? According to investigators, it may be possible that in ancient ages, it was a result of a mass beaching, in which the whales and dolphins willingly strand themselves on land and die. And when the ocean moved further away, they may have been buried in the sand. Ancient skeleton. Not even a meter long, the tiniest skeleton to ever be found continues to shock researchers with its mind-blowing feature. At first, they were stunned to see that such a tiny creature existed in old times. Secondly, they determined it was not a creature, but a tiny human. Yes, it's true. This skeleton named Atta is actually a human, but with multiple bone-related mutations. The long skull and slanted eyes did not indicate a single mutation, but Atta was born with plenty of them present in his genes. Some in the bones, others in the ribs, and others in joints, which is the reason behind his teeny tiny size and lesser ribs. Only 10, where normally there are 12. Mysterious statue. Standing in an Egyptian museum is this eerie statue, containing a perfectly carved body with its eyes resembling a human and always observing the people. The statue, being 4,500 years old and being held in the Museum of Cairo, is considered a wonder of ancient art. The statue has a perfectly plastered and painted outermost layer, but the most striking feature of the statue is no doubt its eyes. Made with sycamore wood, the fact that they are still present in almost their original form is quite impressive, as the researchers are trying to figure out the secret ingredient used to keep it so long-lasting. Bursting pool. Right in the middle of the desert, there's lava popping out, and it looks like it's about to explode on the onlookers' faces. But what is it? This question has been baffling people for so long. Some said it was the pit of the Sarlacc, a beast believed to be living beneath the desert sands. The others called it a desert monster coming out of its hiding place. But in reality, it's actually neither of these, as it was a small reserve of oil found in the middle of Egypt's desert. And due to extreme heat, the oil looked like it was about to burst out of the small hole. Sleeping girl. Looking like a sleeping child, the girl shocked the archaeologists when it was caught, because it felt like the girl would open its eyes at any moment. But actually, she had been dead for about 1,200 years, and was perfectly preserved, which muddled the researcher too. But her history is even more baffling. The girl was a teenager when she was sacrificed as a common religious practice of that time. Found in her hair were the signs of consuming alcohol and cocoa, which were given to her as a way to persuade her for the sacrifice, which actually means that she was drugged before the ritual took place. Concealed toads. Preserving the least expected things. The old customs are nothing but a mystery for the present world. Just like this, when a man, while digging an ancient tomb, unearthed a jar. While the other jars used to be filled with the organs of humans that died hundreds of years ago, this one was filled with 8 mummified toads. Yeah, toads, about 4,000 years old. And when they investigated them even further, the archaeologists were shocked to see that all 8 toads were decapitated before being preserved in the jar. But nobody knows what the purpose of preserving toads was. Were they considered holy in the past world? Or is there some mystery in it we cannot ever unveil? Preserved victim. While preservation of the old elite people is something we're used to, a preserved murder victim was something new even for the archaeologists. Not manually buried, but being dumped in a peat bog, the corpse was naturally preserved. Meet the 2,400-year-old corpse, known as the Tulland Man. Found deep in a bog with its neck tied with rope, the researchers were able to determine that the corpse had been hung. For what purpose, no one knows. But one thing there is the last meal he had eaten before he was put to death, which turned out to be porridge and some fish. Exposed grave. Not a mummy, but a man's camera caught a bizarre scene from a cemetery. He spotted a half-open grave in the middle of the cemetery, and taking a closer look, the man's camera recorded the skeleton of a human, probably 1.8 meters tall, lying inside. Not knowing how the grave opened, the guy went a little inside, and he was shocked to see some more skulls placed on the grave's corner. And that was not it, as human legs and some other body parts were also present inside it, which definitely didn't belong to the single person. So what was going on here? Let me know what you think. Mummified Queen. With her veins still red, skin still tough, the lady, known as the Queen of Mummification, is said to be the wealthiest woman of her time. Sleeping along with the valuables that were placed inside her tomb, she showed the signs of wealth and prosperity, and the researchers assumed that this might be the reason behind the exemplary preservation of the lady, because even after being dead for hundreds of years, her joints were still flexible, even though her eyelash and nose hair were still intact, and it looked like a corpse of a recently deceased person, rather than someone who had died centuries ago. Dino people. If you used to believe that humans came following the dinosaurs' extinction, then get ready to be proven wrong. As buried underneath a tomb, scientists discovered something strange yet fascinating. They unearthed hundreds of figurines containing the figure of humans and dinosaurs, and both of them along with each other. And even some of them showed people riding the dinosaurs, which potentially proves that there might have been some time in the ancient eras where both of these creatures used to live together, but probably for a very short period of time, that no signs other than these thousands of year old figurines were found. Gold mummies. This is the Valley of the Gold Mummies. where multiple people are taking their eternal sleep, covered in gold. Containing a rich culture filled with distinct traditions, Egyptians highly impacted their surroundings, just like the Romans, who, when invading Egypt, adopted the process of mummification, and that in gold, obsessed with the idea of gold. The Egyptians used to believe that the gods were made up of gold, so when their kings died, they used to cover their bodies in gold-plated coffins, and sometimes even covered their faces with gold so that they could become a divine being in the afterlife. Sewer Monster. While exploring the ancient caves, a group of explorers decided to go a little further inside it, in search of some old treasures that might be hidden there. When not being able to locate anything, the group decided to head back towards their car. But it turned out someone really didn't want them to go back, as when heading back, one of the boys heard something coming from an ancient drainage system a little distant from the caves. And there it was, a strange creature, a cryptid, that even though locked in the bars, was trying all of its efforts to come out and catch the group.
Okay.
But luckily, the group made it out unharmed. Unicorn remains. While many of us believe that unicorns belong to the fictional world and don't belong to our world, a man's camera caught the unexpected, a unicorn skull half buried in the sand. And when it was brought to the researchers, they revealed something that might disappoint you, as these ancient unicorns are nothing like we expected them to be, and are more recent than the humans had assumed. Because in reality, the unicorns did not resemble the horses, but actually were something quite like rhinos, with a single horn over its head, that roamed the earth about 29,000 years ago. Coffins of Saqqara. Found inside the tomb of Saqqara are buried the rarest and the most fascinating coffins. An archaeologist was shocked when he accidentally found a chamber of huge figurines that were buried there about 2,000 years ago. And when they went inside, the archaeologist was surprised to see hundreds of them placed inside the chamber. And not alone, they were placed along with gilded masks and falcons, and a lot of other antique things that showed signs of wealth, as no ordinary people were inside those coffins. Some of them were kings and queens of the 2,000-year-old world, and that proves that Saqqara was once a land of great importance. Egyptian Witch. A man decided to visit a cave to see the ancient witch that is believed to be living there. At first, he was disappointed to have not spotted anything, but on his way back, he was shocked to see a creature sitting on the abandoned side of the mountain. The creature, or must I say the womanly beast wearing black clothes, had a strange appearance. Holding a stick made of animal skull, the cryptid's face was all covered. Furious for being followed by the man, the witch went inside, and even from a distance, it was clear that she was casting some sort of spell. Clearly for this reason, as she didn't want the boy to leave there alive. Lady Rye. A perfect example of embalming for the archaeologists. This is Lady Rye, discovered in 1881. She is believed to have died at 40 years of age, and is usually referred to as the oldest mummy which has ever been found. But other than being the oldest lady, Rye's body holds so many fascinating features. Her body was at first covered in linen clothing, and then for preservation, the people had used a mixture of resin and sand, which had helped in keeping the corpse intact. And her CT scan revealed that she had been suffering from atherosclerosis, which led to her death, a disease quite common in people from that age. Gowned Man. Why is it always that in the darkest of nights, people decide to explore the creepiest of places? Well, there, right there, stands the answer to our question. While visiting the ancient detention center that was actually built to imprison the old criminals, hearing some weird voices, the visitors were sure that there was something strange going on in there. But, well, whatever it was, didn't give the people any time to react, as it popped right in front of them. Wearing a long white gown, because the video cuts right there, nothing much is known of the eerie gowned man. But what do you think it actually was? Mystery creature. When caught on camera, a mysterious creature with a pale color was caught walking on an empty road at night. It was about 2 meters tall and was walking while scooching over. It had a human head, but relatively skinny body. And as soon as the video went viral, it started a debate among the paranormal enthusiasts. Some say it is a hoax, while others believe the video shows they have spotted similar things around their houses. But because the exact location of the creature was not known, nothing much about it was revealed. So, was it a ghost, a mummy, or an alien caught wandering? Cave ghost. Feeling that something is not right with the place, the man started recording to get proof of what he was seeing. It was wearing a white cape-like clothing and kept encountering the man, probably signaling him to go back. And there it was, a little far, but a creature with no legs and presumably no bones was caught at an abandoned place and strolling there for some time. The ghost-like creature went straight into the wall and disappeared. Because the video cuts there, not much is known about the creature. But do let me know what you think of this flying ghost. Seti the Mummy. Lying in the National Museum of Egypt, Seti's mummy has gained much importance for the last few years, as researchers have found something that has been keeping the mummy intact for years. Other than being usually packed and mummified like the rest, it looks like the ancient Egyptians used to be quite advanced in plastic surgery, as they have applied filters on the cheekbones and even on the head. That's how, even after being decapitated by some robbers 3,000 years ago, the mummy, covered in lots of clothing, still lies in the museum, as fresh as it can be. Inside the pyramids. Compared to our little knowledge, there are way more mysteries that the pyramids contain. Just like this beauty. Well, she's the beauty of the mummy's world. Officials say that when they discovered her and opened her coffin, she was wearing a gold crown on her head and jewelry as well. And because the lady was not identified, the fact that she was buried in an elite place and gold finery was buried along her determines the rank she belonged to. But there was something strangely unique in her, as the lady was not buried with her original eyes, but they had been replaced by wooden eyes that were carved exactly like real ones. Miniature coffins. While digging up a tomb of an ancient king in Egypt, the archaeologists came across the tiniest coffins, and inside them laid the tiniest mummies of stillborn babies of the king. Though the scientists know that such mutations and stillbirths were common in the ancient world, they were still investigating the fact that these two baby girls were born along with their father. But it was after some time they got to know that being buried along with girls was considered a luck charm, as the ancient people used to believe the girls and women as their protectors that would guide them in their afterlives. Oldest mummy. This 300-year-old mummy was found in the year 2020 and was believed to be something out of this world. Though the corpse was not present in its original form and was distorted from several parts, the researchers consider it a present from the past. The corpse was male with a height of 1.5 meters, covered in several pieces of clothes that were strongly tied with the corpse. The inside of the body looked like it was cremated before burial, but not just a single dead body, but several cremated parts of human bodies were also placed inside the coffin, which made the discovery even more suspicious. Underwater mysteries. Hiding underneath the water, the recent finds in an Egyptian city are not something you would see every day, as they belong to different parts of history. At one side of the Mediterranean Sea, archaeologists found the remains of a 2,200-year-old shipwreck that was struck by the giant blocks of a large temple from the city that had already sunk in the water before. And on the other side, they have also found an ancient burial ground from where different kinds of decorated pottery and gold amulets under the water were believed to be 2,400 years old. An archaeologist, while exploring the Great Pyramids of Egypt, had this strange experience. While going down through a wooden ladder, the man felt a strange movement deep down, so he paused there for a while. And there it was, a wild creature resembling a wolf and containing Satan horns on his head was approaching the archaeologists. Unable to identify it, he quickly ran towards the top, leaving the beast far behind in the tunnel. Though nothing much was revealed by them, it's believed that the tunnel was later filled with mud to secure the researchers from any danger. Let me know what you think of this strange discovery.
Forests are beyond trees and wild animals, but a place where dangerous mythical creatures are known to take refuge. From mysterious creatures in the dark to completely unrecognizable forces in broad daylight, these are some of the most disturbing creatures ever to be caught on the trail camera. Skeleton with glowing eyes. Either this is a prison escapee or a good old ghost. A group of young hikers who were out on a camping trip in Casanino National Forest, Arizona. While exploring the forest, they noticed a troubled-looking man sitting beside a narrow stream of water. To get a better look at it, the light was focused on it, to which it reacted by suddenly turning and staring at them. It had a shaved head with a skinny body, almost as if it were a Halloween skeleton. No matter how dark it gets, human eyes do not glow or reflect light, which clearly shows that this was no human, but a skeleton ghost. Glowing-eyed mummy chase. Just by looking at the glowing eyes, you can know this certainly is no hoax. In September 2019, two colleagues were returning from work in their car when a manly figure in the dark started sprinting parallel to them. Seconds later, the ghostly figure closed in towards the light, revealing its final form. It seemed to look like a mummy with glowing eyes and an incredible speed. First, it got closer to them and then attempted to jump into the vehicle when the driver was able to speed away. This certainly could not be a human, but a mummy that may have gotten possessed by a supernatural entity. Ghost attempts to hide. Either this ghost dozed off into the water or it was attempting to hide itself. A trail camera planted on a bridge next to a haunted house captured footage of a ghost that tripped into a small stream. The camera was placed in the area to investigate the cause of disturbance in the area in the dead of night. After reviewing the footage, many believe that this would rather be a cause of a young woman being possessed by a ghost. Flying humanoid. If the furry humanoids weren't spooky enough, you now have one that can fly. Two young boys, while playing in the backyard of a farm in Kent, United Kingdom, noticed a weird-looking hive. With their father filming the video, they got closer to the hive when a flying bug came out of the hive. At first, it was thought to be a firefly or a dragonfly, but seconds later they could notice that this bug is humanoid. From arms to legs, it had a body structure completely similar to that of a human with wings to fly. As it came flying out, the father and the kids reacted by fleeing away. Since the footage has gone viral, many call it a real-life fairy. Forest zombie. This looks to be either a zombie or a clown, or perhaps both. After numerous reports of something haunting a small part of a forest in Ontario, Canada, paranormal investigators decided to investigate. After several hours of searching, they weren't able to find any ghosts, but rather a zombified being that was stalking them from a distance. Upon one of the paranormal investigators spotting this haunting figure, it quickly escaped behind the tree and into the darkness. It had sparkly eyes, clown-like makeup, sharp reflexes, and not to mention huge in size. Imagine the horror of such a nightmare ambushing you. Jungle highway crawler. Choosing a highway to crawler in the middle of a forest is probably the worst place to be around for creeping onto someone. Only a few days ago, a transport driver, while passing through the dense Valdivian temperate rainforest road, came across a naked-looking crawler in the middle of the road. It looked to be quite skinny as a frame of moving skeleton with a very bleak face and hair, although it remained mostly stationary. But according to the driver, it was too eager to get closer. The driver, who turned around for alternate route out of fear of his safety, was criticized by many for not helping a possible man in distress. Sword Hand Skeleton. Something as scary as this surely redefines the notion of haunting spirits in graveyards. With the appearance of a sharp footstep-like trail all around the cemetery, gravediggers decided to place a trail camera, hoping to find some answers. To their surprise, a disturbing-looking rake being was caught on camera as it was passing by the graves using its sword-like limbs to move. Its body was merely a dark shade of skeleton. While many consider it a rogue ghost, some call it to be a case of reincarnation or a dead man walking. Humpy Ghost. It's probably the hump that may have gotten it not so mobile. A group of friends who were lighting up firecrackers to celebrate the 4th of July when they were interrupted by a high-pitched guttural cry. Curious for answers, they decided to investigate the noise. While passing through the trees, they were abruptly stopped after spotting what looks to be a weird, humpy entity in the dark. Since the idea of getting closer for identification wasn't an option, they decided to lobby a flying firecracker in its direction before running away.
We get the hell out of here.
Many take it to be a case of a drugged-up human, but whatever it was surely is a terrifying sight to behold. Dark Furry Monster. This particular dark furry monster may initially seem like a man wearing a Halloween costume until you look closely at its eyes. Two explorers, while passing through the forest of northern Iran, spotted an eerie hiding behind the bushes. Due to the pitch darkness of the night, they were forced to get closer to it to investigate. While preaching religious chants, they were to get close, but still could barely see it. It had a dirty fur-like coat with incredibly white eyes that were visible. Due to lack of light and fear of the unknown, they weren't able to get a good look at it despite being spitting distance away from it. Tall, furry humanoid. The bigger and furrier it is, the more concerning it gets. After dozens of reports of a tall, furry, human-like figure being noticed in a woods near Winnipeg, a former canine expert was hired by wildlife experts to find and investigate. The canine tracker, after hours of attempting to find the rumored humanoid, was about to call it a day until the notorious being made a sudden appearance as it passed by the tree. The tracker attempted to get a closer look at it, but his dog refused to join into the pursuit, creating a moment of confusion that aided in the humanoid's escape. Fortunately, a camera was installed on the dog harness, which captured the first ever glimpse of this rumored being. Slender Man. In 2018, two friends and a little girl were traveling across states when they bumped into an abnormality, tall and suspicious-looking man referred to as the Slender Man. The Slender Man appeared in the middle of them, making the driver turn off-road and into the grass before stopping. Seconds later, the camera blacked out and started recording once again, showing the Slender Man walking in the woods with the little girl. One of the two friends went missing, while the other was able to find the little girl with a note left behind probably by the Slender Man. Till date, authorities haven't been able to figure out who or where this tall being came from. Creepy cryptid encounter. Is this a bird of some kind or just a horribly looking rodent? While out for an adventure, a tourist encountered a creepy looking animal that was hiding behind a dried up tree trunk in the Appalachian Mountains of North America. Its face looked as if it were deformed with something like a beak on the face. The intentions of this animal were unclear, as it never moved much besides keeping the eyes locked onto the recorder. With the behavior as such, the tourist described it to be an unrecognizable animal that was later pronounced to be a cryptid. Skinwalker attack in woods.
Oh.
If you hear an unsettling humming sound, it's probably for the best to stand clear of it. A man, while driving on the outskirts of Montana, stopped for a cigarette break when he heard a very unsettling humming sound all of a sudden. Out of curiosity, the man entered the woods to find the source of the sound when a skinny, fast-moving skinwalker appeared from nowhere in pursuit of the man, almost as if it were a predator. What happened next remains a mystery. However, the fact that this video made it to the internet shows that the man who recorded the footage may have survived. Alien Scout. The appearance of the UFOs and alien sightings such as these are surely not a mere coincidence. A couple along with their neighbors were camping nearby the Big Bear Lake in California when a tiny possum-like being made a sudden appearance, catching them all by surprise. According to the witnesses, it had a physical appearance similar to that of a fictional character, Dobby from the Harry Potter movies, but was a bit too green. As the wildlife experts are trying to make sense of the incident, many debated that this could be an alien scout, especially due to a UFO sighting the previous day. Cryptid caught on camera. Cryptid or not, even they tend to make mistakes and get seen. An explorer, while placing his trail camera in a mountain forest somewhere in the United States, found a mysterious shadowy figure. It was seen curiously peeking out from next to a broad tree trunk and got caught on the camera that was still recording. Although it didn't show any sinister intentions, the cameraman quickly ran away from the area. The fact that the nature of this being is unknown and you never know what it might be capable of, he instinctively decided to run away. The figure remains a complete mystery, despite widespread online exposure. Crooked-faced walker. This is one of those times when something fictional becomes a reality. Residents from a small town in Wisconsin reported numerous appearances of this crooked-faced walker, which has a resemblance to a mythical character called the Spirit Walker. Locals would often wear costumes depicting the walker until it actually started appearing after dark at festivals and community events. So much so that it was locally known as the Spirit of Bizarre. It has a body structure similar to that of a man with extremely long, bony arms, all covered in a suit and a mask. The footage was taken by one of the cameras that was placed to get a closer view at it. Shady Beast. With little to no trees around, the chances of it being a monkey is next to impossible. A footage captured in a woodland area in Nebraska shows a troubled-looking individual that was spotted by passerby as it appeared out from behind the grass. The author of the video at first thought it to be a monkey in distress or an animal of some kind, until it got closer and up on its hind, revealing its terrifying face as it began chasing. The recorder described it to have a beastly appearance, which, after video getting viral, was later nicknamed as the Shady Beast. Catching birds for dinner. A simple fact that gorillas are not known to hunt birds is enough to say that this isn't something normal. A video recorded in March 2016 by a fisherman who was returning from a catch shows a huge furry animal on top of a pole. This furry animal was attempting to catch seagulls flying nearby. Upon capturing one of them, it started bashing the seagull aggressively on the pole, presenting its incredible strength, and started eating minutes later. As it was able to climb tall, narrow poles easily, many speculated that it could be a gorilla, but honestly, it seems like a really hungry Bigfoot. Groot-like creature. If Groot has an evil twin, this probably has to be it. A Virginia family of 3 went out for trekking in the nearby forest where they noticed a tall, dark man-like tree that also happened to be staring at them. The parents commented that they felt like being followed by an unknown stalker hours after entering the forest. Coincidentally, they happened to notice the same tree, despite moving for several hours, which raised their suspicion. Interestingly, the tree creature didn't seem to have any footsteps left behind and remained stationary until it was seen moving slowly. Could it be that a tree somehow came to life, or is it an outer Earth visitor? Giant Tarzan. A sighting such as this is probably a dream come true for all the Tarzan fans. A construction worker in Minnesota, while on a break, saw that this very tall man, who was caught by the magnificence of modern construction, it looked almost naked, covered only by a dark piece of clothing with a height twice to that of an average person. As one of the construction workers riding on his bicycle passed by that point, this real-life Tarzan suddenly disappeared. Since the footage was taken from quite a distance, the tall man wasn't identified properly. Caned Ghost Yoda. Facing off a pissed Yoda is more dangerous than all other scary creatures in the dark. A cowboy on a horse was passing through woods while looking at some missing cattle, bumped into a tiny being having similarity to that of a Yoda from Star Wars. This Yoda, resembling a ghost, was running towards the cowboy while aggressively stabbing its sharp cane on the ground. It began to gain pace upon closing in, and due to the fear of the unknown, the man responded by fleeing. While the actual intentions of the caned ghost Yoda may remain a mystery, it definitely couldn't be any good. Aggressive Yeti. What could be scarier than being killed by a Yeti? It's having one to trip and fall onto you. In January 2021, two friends out on a 3-day hiking adventure came across some way scarier than your typical wild animal, a Yeti. The Yeti appeared out of nowhere and started inspecting their backpacks when they returned back to their base camp with firewood. During the unwarranted inspection, the Yeti unknowingly pepper sprayed itself in the eyes. It began to panic aggressively. It got so aggressive that it nearly fell on the hikers before stumbling down the hilly terrain. Bigfoot with glowing eyes. Maybe this Bigfoot was just showing off its sparkling eyes. A TikToker, while out in the Canadian woods for a video, had a close call with this giant gorilla-like creature with exceptionally bright eyes. At first, it was thought of being some gorilla, until after it came closer while passing by. Being caught in fear and confusion, he decided to film the incident. To get answers, the video was uploaded on social media, where many called it a Bigfoot, and that this might be the closest ever encounter with one of them. The TikToker definitely was fortunate enough that the Bigfoot didn't display any predatory behavior. Naked man. A hunter, while passing past a forest nearby Tomorrow World area, when he heard someone calling at him for help. Upon looking down, he noticed a man with not a stitch of clothing on him standing by the creek along with a walking cane. While maintaining distance, the naked man claimed that he had been robbed, beaten up, and stripped of all clothing by bullies during the music festival before being dropped in the woods. After days of trying to survive, he decided to stick next to the creek. The hunter managed to get a number of the naked man's next of kin to get in touch so they could come and get him. This picture was captured by a lost traveler who was passing through a forest in New Zealand on June 10, 2021. The traveler, while stopping to rest for the night, was disturbed by a terrifying zombie-like cry not too far from his location. In hopes to offer help, he called closer to the source of the sound, only to find its point of origin from something that looked unlike any known human. Seconds after the encounter, the traveler immediately decided to flee for his life. After several minutes of running away, the recorder hid himself under a tree bark and decided to remain stationary till dawn, leaving having this picture, the only clear view of this being. Paranormal creature climbing. Something so dark and tiny as this rules out the possibility of it being a burglar. A security camera placed opposite to a villa in a rural area of Karnataka, India, shows a black child-sized creature that crawls next to the villa until it starts climbing up. Locals believe it to be the spirit of a young child that once lived in the house to be returning, while others believe it to be a jinn. Whatever this may have been, it was surely sneaky enough to get past the guard that was sleeping in a chair facing right in front of this paranormal being. Dead alienoid. Alien or not, death surely doesn't spare anyone. Texas farmers who had lost several of their chickens due to numerous animal attacks decided to lay down a bait to draw out the animal. Upon doing so, they noticed a very unusual looking animal in the fields who took the bait in a manner similar to the attack on the chickens. One of the farmers, either pissed or terrified of this alienoid, fired at it, but it managed to escape. After following the bloody trail closely, the alien animal was later found dead next to a tiny bush after having bled out due to the critical wound.
See him above there, by the trees.
With the proliferation of cameras just about everywhere, more and more weird stuff is captured by the camera's all-seeing lens. From freaky, wild creatures of dark nights to the oddly mythical figures of woods, while others are totally unbelievable. Here's the most disturbing trail cam footage that no one was supposed to see. Disappearing man. Imagine installing a camera to capture some wild moments on a snowy night, but you come across this. A bizarre hunched-over figure with glowing eyes suddenly emerged from the dark and could be seen running to the left side of the ground, and then disappeared instantly. Nowhere. It might have merged into thin air. Was it really a ghoul captured running at midnight, or was it just a hoax? To me, there was something really mysterious, as the dog sitting in the corner could be noticed turning its head in the direction of the running figure. What do you guys think? Extraterrestrial creature. Deer, coyotes, or naughty raccoons. This is all that you expect to see in your trail cam footage. But a trail cam installed in the woods of Australia captured something absolutely terrifying. From behind one of the trees appeared some mysterious lights. However, the zoomed-in footage displayed the mystifying lights were actually the eyes of an odd-shaped creature that was trying to peek directly into the camera. At first, it might look like a kid in a costume, but the weird glowing eyes didn't seem like a humanoid trait. Then, was that something really that we should call an extraterrestrial, or just another unidentified creature? Share your thoughts by commenting below. Monster stalking a moose. This video, posted in August 2018, sent cold chills among internet users, as it displays a strange creature peeking from behind one of the trees in the middle of a haunted forest. The resource person of this clip claimed to witness this monstrous creature many times before that, and called it a rake because it has a human-like appearance and usually attacks people walking alone in the woods. But this time, it looks like the spooky, pale creature has targeted the huge moose as it was filmed stalking the animal that was busy grazing in that haunted forest. Masked man. The hunters set their cameras to get information about animals they can hunt. However, sometimes their search for a new species could end up in an unexplainable fear. A trail cam footage posted a few months back shows a strange figure coming out of the dense forest. It is really hard to state what that creature might be, but as it walked eerily with its bent legs, and also the face was covered with a strange mask, some people thought it could be a publicity stunt. But everything about this image is terrifying, as we have no idea where this figure came from or why he was wandering on his knees at midnight. Bigfoot under the nest. In September 2016, a trail cam installed somewhere in the woods of Michigan State to film tiny eaglets captured something really spooky. Initially, all went well, as the camera placed right above the nest was filming the adorable bird moments. Then, suddenly, from behind one of the trees below the nest, appeared a black bipedal creature that walked away. However, due to the blurred image, it's hard to identify the creature, but many people stated that it was a Bigfoot, as nothing huge and bulky was ever spotted in that area before. Do you guys also think it was a Bigfoot? Please let us know by commenting below. Peeking alien. Watching this clip will surely prevent you from planning late-night camping, especially in the middle of the spooky forest. While burning a fire to keep the wild critters away from their tents, a group of friends heard some mysterious noise in the dark. Thinking of any forest resident, one of the guys tossed the fire in front of the tree, yet he was not expecting to come across this. A tiny, gray cryptid with pointed fingers was trying to get warmth while hiding behind the tree, and quickly moved back as the man filming it tried to get a closer look. Unfortunately, nothing could be stated exactly about the figure, but to me, it looked like an alien. Weird man in the forest. Let me show you another disturbing clip of the day, as it involves a couple of friends who stumbled upon something really spooky while walking in the forest at night. Standing alone in the middle of the path was a strange guy in white who started to communicate with them.
Ryan?
Is that you?
Is that you?
Yeah, it is.
Prove it?
Prove it?
Yeah, prove it.
Thinking of their lost friend, when one of the guys asked that boy to prove his identity, he suddenly changed his shape and voice and vanished back into the dark, just like a creepy ghoul.
I don't know where this thing is, or when it's gonna.
Although one of the guys tried to chase him, they couldn't get any other clue. And since that time, the truth behind the creepy guy has become an unsolved mystery. Unknown beast in the backyard. Filmed at an unknown location, the camera captured a bizarre figure peeking from behind the wall on the side of the pool. Initially, it looked like a man trying to get inside, but when the footage was zoomed in, it started looking less like a human. In fact, the way it looked around and managed to jump back didn't seem human at all. Many claimed it could be a midnight ghost, while others simply stated that it was nothing but a bear. Well, if any of you know better, do write us in the comment section. Humo crab. While enjoying the bonfire in the middle of the thick woods, a group of friends got the biggest shock of their life when they decided to look for the girl who went away to make a call. Searching around for the girl, they were stunned to find her lying numb in front of a tree, and then suddenly, from behind one of the bushes, a creepy creature jumped out. With multiple limbs attached to a human body, that unidentified being seemed to be a human crab-type creature. Although this clip stopped without any proper ending, these few terrifying minutes are enough to make you think twice the next time you set up a plan for camping. Bigfoot encounter. It's okay to find animals in the woods, but it's definitely not okay to find monstrous creatures right in front of the camera. While chasing a deer to get a closer look, another couple of campers were shocked to find a huge beast behind the trees. At first, they took it as a bear, but it was all until the dark creature stood up. With its dark body and giant features, it looked right at them and tried to get close. Fortunately, they both managed to escape, leaving their tent. In fact, everything behind. Many speculated it to be a huge bear, but according to those guys, it was an actual Bigfoot. Cryptic being. According to an old saying, forests are actually haunted by werewolves and witches that come out at night. But this time, it looks like one of the evil spirits has decided to make an appearance in daytime. Filmed at an unknown location, this video shows a car being driven in the middle of a forest, and suddenly, the driver noticed a strange, small creature standing on the roadside. Apparently, it looked like a small animal, but upon getting closer, it turned out to be a short, faceless figure who was busy in some kind of sinister activity, but suddenly ran back after watching a car approaching it. Is it really a cryptic being, or just a hoax? Any ideas? Sasquatch spotted in Russia. This short clip of just 16 seconds includes the craziest moment no one could have ever seen. Recorded by an unknown source somewhere in Russia in 2011, this clip shows a closer look of the most discussed mythical beast. A huge hairy body and long arms, it really looked like a real Sasquatch. No more details could be stated about the creature, as the guy filming it seemed to be scared of the thing. Yet the perfect humanoid walk pointed toward the legendary Sasquatch, as it could be seen quickly walking through the woods after realizing it was being filmed. Unidentified hairy monster. Exploring the woods to learn more about the forest, two young students felt some movements behind the trees. Looking deeper into the bushes, they came across an unidentified creature that initially looked like a wild critter that was hiding beneath the woods. yet suddenly stood up and stared at the curious visitors. Terrifying is all that can be said about this footage, because nothing much can be explained about the creature, as they had to escape hurriedly after watching the beast heading toward them. Eerie giant figure. Humanoid walk, giant body, and long, heavy arms. Another legendary creature of all time was filmed strolling fearlessly on snowy ground. The video, after being posted, grabbed a lot of attention from internet users, as many took it as an alleged Sasquatch sighting. But since the video wasn't very clear, a few claimed it was actually a guy struggling to hike on the hill covered with snow, and was misunderstood for his strange walk. Really a Sasquatch, or just a misunderstanding? Any guesses from your side? Spooky werewolf. Have you ever been into the woods alone? Well, if not, then you must hold your breath, as this short clip will definitely stop you from doing so. Filmed at an undisclosed location, this footage shows a guy trying to get close to an animal to whom he thought was a grizzly bear. Right at that moment, the beast started running toward him, and the video suddenly ended there, leaving everyone questioning about the beast. There is a possibility of a werewolf sighting, as upon looking at the huge appearance, the creature didn't seem like a bear to me. Creepy skinwalker. It's not always Bigfoot lurking from behind one of the trees, but sometimes there are many other odd beings waiting for us. A couple, while driving in the middle of a forest, decided to stop their car to investigate the animal making weird noises. However, they were left baffled after watching this. From behind one of the bushes, a creepy figure emerged and crossed the bushy path by crawling on its bent legs. Although it was not visible due to the dark, due to its pale, skinny body, it was assumed to be a skinwalker that mostly came out at night to spook the passerby. Mysterious black shadow. Almost a decade back in April, a man filming his own horror movie set up a prop ritual circle in Tennessee's woods. The next day, after returning back to that place, he found a mysterious dark figure standing exactly at that spot. At first, he thought it was some kind of an illusion, but suddenly, the figure that appeared to have a head and body moved slightly back and forth. He just filmed the peculiar shape from a distance and decided to leave as he was scared of the unknown figure. For some, it was a person with a costume on, while others just debunked it by calling it a fallen tree that resembled a human body. If any of you know more details about it, please let us know. Rake crawling in woods. A bizarre trail cam footage quickly went viral as it claimed to show an eerie figure in the middle of the woods. Recorded somewhere in an unrevealed place, the video took a normal start, but then the actual oddity entered the frame from the left side. Crawling on all its fours was an eerie creature that could be seen rambling through the woods, just like a huge, bulky animal. However, the way it stopped and looked around didn't match any animal's traits. Since the footage was recorded from a distance, it's hard to say exactly what could be the creature, but many are speculating it to be the horrific, urban, legendary Rake. Frozen in park. A lady standing still in front of a tree, and another group of people froze while staring oddly. This is not any clip from a sci-fi movie, but this bizarre moment was actually recorded in September 2019 by a family while they were heading toward Niagara Falls. Not just one or two, but a large number of people were spotted standing still around all over the place. What's weirder, more than half were old-aged. With a heart filled with fear, the family left shortly, so nothing more could be stated about it. A glitch in the Matrix, an MK Ultra, or just some kind of publicity stunt to gain fame? I'm not too sure what was actually going on here. Soul left wild boar. This footage might be the rarest one, as it literally shows the most unbelievable and disturbing moment ever recorded. It started with a wild boar strolling normally, and this is exactly what trail cams are meant to record. But within a few seconds, the whole scene changed as the animal falls on the ground and struggled hard to stand back up. And all of a sudden, its body started shivering, and it could be seen shaking its legs, followed by a plume of black smoke that mysteriously arose from its body, and then it became still, although it could be noticed trying to breathe. According to the owner of this footage, the animal was found dead in its place. Headless moose. Another disturbing piece of footage shows a strange animal that was not only weird and frightening, but also very fast. Near a railway track in the middle of the wilderness, a guy was scared to death after watching a strange moose running wildly without any head on its huge body. Since the video is quite blurry, it's difficult to say whether it was an actual headless animal or just a moose running with its head to one side. Many think it's just an edited clip, while others claim it to be an actual headless moose that was running away from its hunters. What do you guys believe? Arrow stuck in deer's head. Survival of an impaired one in the wilderness is actually very challenging. Yet this next clip shows an unfazed deer with an arrow sticking out of its head that was observed doing really well for more than 3 years. The deer was named Carrot after it was spotted lurking in the backyard of a house in Canada and was believed to be a miraculous survivor. Fortunately, the distressing clips of the poor animal hit the internet, and it was soon rescued by wildlife authorities. Two-headed deer.
Two-headed deer.
Have we got you puzzled? At first, I also got confused after watching this bizarre two-headed deer. Look how perfectly both of the heads moved in the same direction. Was this actually a two-headed deer, or just another manipulated clip? Well, after watching this clip more carefully, I reached to a conclusion that those were actually two animals standing in a typical posture, which made them look like one animal with two heads. As the video proceeded, one of the heads could be seen mystically disappearing from the scene, leaving just one complete deer behind. What do you guys say? Deer with a crooked neck. Here we have another strange deer, but this time it was not any optical illusion. But in fact, this deer was actually spotted in an awkward situation, as its head was hanging bizarrely to one side. Though it was observed perfectly walking through the dense bushes, it was unable to lift its head or to move it around. Biologists suspected that it might have broken its spine at a very young age, but somehow managed to survive with its major disability, and was spotted strolling several times in St. Mary's. People called it a crooked-necked deer that was also believed to be a mother of cute little fawns. Living mammoth. Show me something more disturbing than this one. Long, curved tusks, a huge trunk, a fatty hump on a massive woolly body. All these features belong to a living mammoth that was filmed in 1948 in Russia. The great animal from the prehistoric times was actually seen roaming almost 60 years back and was captured during World War II by a German photographer. Although it was quite terrifying to see a living mammoth from the past, many claimed it to be a fake one, while a few are still trying to figure it out. Attacked by wolves. This trail cam footage opens with an adorable moose mother wandering around along with its young calf. Initially, all went well, as the mother moose could be seen protecting its young calf from the wolf. But then suddenly, the video took a horrific turn when the mother turned back and, instead of the wolf, it accidentally kicked its calf in the head. Seeing the calf on the ground, another hungry wolf jumped in to get a bite of the fallen prey. Yet the moose mother kept on protecting its calf from the attacking wolves. However, it's impossible to say whether she was able to protect her young ones or not, as all of the animals went out of sight. Man stalked by lion. Encountering something like this in the woods is definitely a disturbing thing you'll never want to experience. The guy in the image looked excited as he could be seen enjoying his hunt of the day, a giant deer. And behind him is a ferocious predator that was captured stalking the hunter. Unfortunately, we could only get this single image, and I'm not sure if the lion was actually waiting for the deer, or its real target was the hunter. However, later this guy posted another video in which the same lion was observed chasing. This terrifying image was captured by a trail camera, showing a creepy humanoid creature climbing a tree with all 4 of its limbs. The exact location of this image is unknown, but some people claimed it to be captured from the deep Amazon forest, where this guy is believed to be the last remaining member of an isolated tribe in the Brazilian Amazon and is known as the Man of the Hole. However, according to some, this was actually an ape-like creature that was seen hanging on the trees during the Darrow expedition in 1977. Well, if any of you knows more about it, please let us know by commenting below. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again